about that victory, that crazy victory at the very end there. First off, I've just got to ask you, what was going through your minds as Lenny was pushing in the Nexus at the end of the game and you were all stopping the recalls?
Well, I just heard that if we stop the recalls, he can end the game. It's Shen, so it's like not like he's going to destroy them in 1 second, so I was kind of skeptic. But he managed to do it, surprisingly. I'm really happy.
Yeah, you should be. And at the very start, we heard from you guys, you didn't have anything to lose. And now it's looking like maybe you do have something to lose. Your chances of staying in the LCS are still alive, depending on SK's performance. Has your mindset changed, or you're still thinking like that?
Well, personally, my mindset has changed a lot. Before, I wouldn't really go for those risky turret dives and stuff. Like, it may look a little bit stupid, but it's more like, you know, it's losing up because you have nothing to lose and you can take those risks because there's no point playing if you are playing to lose anyway, so might as well just try to make something happen.
Right, exactly. So where are you looking now? Are you still looking at the LCS? Are you thinking about next season? Or are you just looking at what's in front of you right now?
Well, obviously the hope and the dream is to stay in LCS. It kind of sucks that we have to rely on someone else losing, so it's not in our hands. But for now, we just try to play the games, have fun. Like, even though it might be the last games, depending on SK's performance. So yeah, we just have fun and play League of Legends.
Yeah, just play League of Legends. Look fun to us as well, Soren. Thank you very much for the interview. We're going to shoot it over to the analyst desk to take a look at that game.
Well, thank you so much, Paulson. Well, we're joined by Krepo still, and also Season 1 World Champion Cyanide to look at that game. And, well, Soren said it best, what's the point in playing if you're just playing to lose anyway? And it showed at the end of the game, but honestly, in the beginning, everything got off to kind of a slow start.
Yeah, very, very slow and like tempered start by the Copenhagen Wolves. They picked this composition that was very skirmish-heavy, so we were all sitting here expecting a lot of action, and kind of nothing happened. And that leads us into our first replay. This is where Soren was just trying to find an opening. We can get that on your screen right now. And the only reason I kind of highlight this replay is because it's kind of comical in how it fails. He goes on nuke deck, but then Jankos shows up, and then we always make this pinball analogy, but this is like a double pinball because not only does he get the casket bounce, gets on the zero wall on the bumper and flies out, but this was Soren trying to find an opening. He says, like, usually I'm too afraid for these plays. Now I have nothing to lose. I have to make them. And luckily for the Copenhagen Wolves, they didn't stop making those plays after that play.
Yeah, the idea was not that bad. Like, the execution was horrible, of course, but Azir is gonna outscale you. So, and overall their team is gonna get outscaled. So he kind of felt like he had to do something. He tried to go for it, and it didn't work out.
Talking about someone that has to do something, Shook, of course, picked that in Italy. Jungle, what do you think he could have maybe done differently in the early game? They were ahead, but I feel like they could have gotten even more ahead, maybe.
I felt like Shook spent most of the game standing on wards, and that was partly because he didn't upgrade to Sweeper at any point. Like, he kept the warding totem for a really long time, and I actually thought he was going to upgrade it, at least to have some deep vision. You know, with Natalie, you can jump in and ward, but in the end, he didn't, like, he just swapped to Sweeper and didn't even upgrade it. So, like, the vision game was a bit weird.
I think that's a really good point by Cyanide. It's okay to go warding totem on Italy if you don't build Sidestone, because you still want to bring out those wards when you go in for the deep wards, but at no point were Cass and Shook kind of working together to get that deep vision. They were also warding the same areas very often. At one point, they had 4 wards on a single, say, screen. Like, if you hover your screen over, you had 4 wards, even 2 in the same brush. So very inefficient warding from the Wolves, and that's why this game kind of stalled out until the inevitable, Baron steal by Shook, and then he, you know, all the critique that we were giving him for bad warding, no sweeping, just was gone immediately.
Yeah, but it's quite funny also because before that we were criticizing Copenhagen Wolves' shot calling when they had that skirmish in ROCCAT's jungle and they poked them out, then they went for Baron, but then they got spotted out doing Baron. But let's run up the replay because there's only one thing that matters in Shook's entire game, and that's this.
I could talk about it, but we have a guest here at the desk that probably knows it better.
The Smite King.
Yeah, I don't actually know what happened there. Like, the Baron was super low and they just let him flash in instead of, like, the support zoning.
It was
zoning
blind.
him out. Like, they have an Alistar even.
Yeah, but this part right here, this part right here is the most interesting one. The in the top lane, the tower dies. You don't see it on your screen, but I believe the teleport from Steve was going there, and instead of teleporting on a minion, which you can always do, he teleported on the structure. You know, yeah, let's cooldown, but if the game's going to end, that cooldown's not going to matter. His teleport got cancelled, and suddenly, yeah, backdoor, well, not really a backdoor, just split push happened, and bases got cancelled.
Just a funny little bit here. Lenny did as much damage as Cass in the entire game. Of course, he's Shen, but it also doesn't matter because he ended up killing the Nexus, and in the end, that's all you need.
The only damage stat that counts is damage to Nexus.
Yeah, and gold.
It's funny, like, how they misused Shen the entire game, like, no split pushing at all with the ultimate, and then once they did it, they just straight up won the game.
Yeah, so it's actually quite heartbreaking for ROCCAT, but on the other hand, you could say, well, if you are a team that is vying for the playoffs as ROCCAT, you should be able to see through that, or is this an easy mistake to make?
It's not an easy mistake to make. Well, it's an easy mistake to make, but it'll come to pay them costly because tomorrow they play Origin, I believe, and coming into this week, I just saw Nuktak outside. I was like, okay, guys, easy 2-0. I was like, yeah, I believe we could actually do it. Obviously, not. He never said easy himself. That's me saying that. But then they lose to Copenhagen Wolves. Now they have to face Origin. That's gonna get a lot trickier.
Tricky as well. Also, the Copenhagen Wolves, they're not in auto relegation yet. They're playing Giants tomorrow, and you know what? They need to keep in ahead of SK Gaming. SK Gaming are playing Fnatic today, and Elements tomorrow. I don't know, man. The Wolves, this is, it could happen.
Yeah, for people uncertain, Wolves need to win that game to tie SK Gaming. SK needs to lose both games this weekend. That is the dream scenario for the Wolves. And obviously nightmare for SK Gaming.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Very exciting start here in the EULCS, and in just a few minutes, the Giants will go up against the Unicorns of Love as they try and tie the Pink Ponies in 4th place. Now, before we go, we'll take a closer look at one of the highest risk-reward plays on the Rift, that game-changing Baron steal. How fitting.
So when talking about Baron steals, you kind of need clear communication of what you have to do if it's back away or not, because just 2 seconds of tanking Baron can actually be quite damaging when it's early on in the game.
Starting on Ashe when the enemy team is around is super risky.
I do think it's completely your responsibility as a team in control of the objective to make sure it does not get stolen by either sending someone over the wall or like timing a certain CC so they can't come and steal it in time.
Poking, zoning people, all those kind of things, the stuff you can do to help the enemy not come near the Baron, and then eventually you can finish it.
It's more just about like getting proper vision, so the enemy team is unable to check the area without face checking, and then we potentially getting a pick, and then we turn to Baron.
A good team will always clear every vision and then safely start Baron and then secure it.
With Baron steals, we're kind of not out of the game, but we're behind, and you kind of feel like if they get the Baron, the game is going to be really hard to come back. And then magically we manage to steal it, and then you get this rush of confidence and you feel really strong.
I got it, nice. I got the Baron! Nice! It's our fucking game, guys!
For the one that's stealing, you have nothing to lose. So you basically go in with the mindset that it's already gone, and you just do whatever you can to get it.
I actually like it a lot. Every time a winning team goes for Baron, I like throw.
Well, I remember in the previous split, this team got their Baron stolen quite a lot.
Actually, Elements, they're peeling away for just a moment. Here comes Frederick. He's stolen. Frederick comes up with a steal.
Stealing Nash is like the most obvious way to turn a game around, and everybody knows Frederick does that a lot.
Nice! Oh! Frederick seems to have a thing for stealing shit anyway. Like, I think that's what he's probably best at out of his whole gameplay, is just stealing things.
Even if you're 6k behind, 8k behind, if you steal that Baron and kill 1 or 2 or something, you're back in the game and you have a 3 minutes window where you can come back even harder, get some turrets, get maybe a Drake, get some buffs.
You destroy the momentum of enemy team and you might even make them tilt.
So if you get your Nash stolen after you're being hit by it the whole time, it's most likely you're going to lose the team fight and probably the game.